So the three biggest myths that prevent people from buying a home. You need perfect credit. You do not. The minimum score for a VA purchase is a 580. The next one is you need 20% down. You do not. VA allows up 0% down for your first purchase. For a regular loan, you can put down as little as 3%. And then I won't qualify. You don't know until you try. So don't count yourself out. You know, make the phone call, have the conversation, figuring out how to get you where you want to be. So the three biggest myths that prevent people from buying a home. You need perfect credit. You do not. The minimum score for a VA purchase is a 580. A lot of people are surprised by that. The next one is you need 20% down. You do not. VA allows up 0% down for your first purchase. And then for a regular loan, you can put down as little as 3%. So that's an option as well. And then I won't qualify. With this question, I feel like you don't know until you try. So don't count yourself out. You know, make the phone call, have the conversation. Most of the time I have a list of 5 questions that I kind of ask you. I get those answers and I kind of figure out a timeline. Once you apply, if I can verify the same information, we can figure out if you are ready. If not, I help you get ready. So I help with credit, debt to income, you know, figuring out how to get you where you want to be. All right. Things to know before you buy. How much home can I afford? So I figure that out for you. It's based on interest rates, how much you make as far as your income, how much debt you have. So again, we kind of play with that together and figure out if you need to pay off some debt, if you do need a down payment, you know, if you need to not lower change your expectations. So that's something that we have a discussion about. How much of a down payment can I afford? So again, 0% if you're going VA, but if you are using another loan program, then we look at the minimum and then we figure out if it's enough for you to get to where you want to be or if we need to go higher. We do down payment assistance as well, so I should throw that out there too. So if you need assistance with a down payment, if you have one, that's an option as well. And will I be able to make my monthly mortgage payments? You wouldn't get a loan if you couldn't. So believe that, you know, if you actually get an approval, you can afford it. Now, one conversation I do have with people is what you're comfortable with. So say you're approved for a mortgage of $2,500 a month. Well, that's great on paper, but if that's going to affect your everyday lifestyle, that's a conversation we want to have. So if our target needs to be $2,000 a month or 18 or whatever that is, that's something that we discuss before you get out there and start shopping. You go into contract and then the shock hits when it's like, your payment's gonna be this. How long do I plan on owning this home? So that's a discussion as well. You know, being in the military, if you travel or if you're retired or if Vegas is gonna be your retirement city or you plan on going somewhere else, these are all things that we want to know so that you're not making a huge investment into something that's gonna be temporary, okay? Are there additional costs to owning this home that I should consider? Yes, utilities, you know. The HOA, you know, if you live in a complex that has an HOA, HOAs can change. Your mortgage can stay the same. Your property taxes can go up and down depending on the value of your home. So HOA is a big one that I kind of run into. But yeah, utilities, if you have outside activities or anything like that, again, want to make sure your lifestyle isn't affected just because you purchased. Okay, and what is a mortgage? So a mortgage consists of PITI, and then there's a little H in there if you're in a HOA. But when you make your mortgage payment, it includes these items. So your principal and interest, which is the loan itself, and then your taxes, so the property taxes for the property that you find, and then your homeowner's insurance. There is also PMI if you do not go VA and you don't put 20% down. But one of the big benefits of VA is not having PMI. That's just an additional mortgage insurance. What that means is it's a mortgage insurance that protects the lender. So if you default on your loan and you're not at, if you haven't put 20% down, then the lender is protected during that period so that if you default, then they get their money back from the VA or whoever is insuring the loan. Okay. Home financing process. So step one, initial consultation, which is that conversation. Two is pre-qualification. That's still part of the conversation where we kind of dig into numbers instead of just the general surface questions. And then I do, so processing. So what that is they run background on you, you know, to make sure there's no outstanding debt or anything out there that's kind of outstanding. If you own other properties that aren't listed on the application, you know, we have to consider if you're paying taxes on those. So all of that is part of your debt when it comes to qualifying. Underwriting. So my company offers pre-underwriting, which means you know you're an approved buyer before you go into contract. When you go into contract, escrow is typically 30 days. And if we have things that we need to address within that 30 days, it's kind of like everything's on fire. And so to avoid that, we want to make sure that you're in a position to make a confident offer. Now, with that, when you make that offer and say there's multiple offers, and Kayvon, you can speak to this, if you've been pre-underwritten versus pre-approved or pre-qualified, then your offer is looked at more seriously because they know you've done the work. You know, someone above just a loan officer has looked at your file and agreed that you're an approved buyer. Next is pre-closing. So that would be maybe underwriting when we kind of know where the closing costs are. We make sure you have enough money so that you can buy this home. So that's kind of like the party before the party. We tying up loose ends, dotting the I's and things like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's the inspection, you know, everything. Closing, that's the party. That's when we show up, you sign your paperwork, you know, the congratulations, the balloons, the whole thing. So it's usually a journey, you know. I try to make it as less stressful as possible because it is a big deal. You know, it's the biggest purchase of your life. And so you don't want to go through it, you know, constantly worried and figuring it out. You want to have a pleasant experience when you're purchasing. So typically we're working in the background trying to figure out if there's an issue, you know, and all of that. But in the beginning, because we've done the work together, you know, we're addressing everything and you just kind of know this is it. Okay, so I'll just kind of go through this list. So there's no prepayment penalties. It's because it's a VA loan, you know, so if you're active and you have to move sooner than you expect to, then they don't want to penalize you for that. There are fixed and adjustable rate options. So you can have a set rate or it can be all over the place. Again, no PMI, 100% financing with full VA entitlement. So that means you haven't used it at all. You have a zero down payment, so 100% financing. Fixed and adjustable rate mortgages, that sounds familiar. Okay. VA financing fees can be rolled into the loan. So financing fees are not your closing costs. So I want to make that clear. Those are your funding fees, you know, those are things like that. So it's not like your appraisal or anything like that. Those are actually part of your closing costs and they're separate. A variety of eligible property types, including townhomes, VA-approved condos, manufactured homes. Yeah, so you have some options. I've heard before that people didn't think you could buy manufactured homes, and you can. So there are options. And then loan eligibility, valid COE. I pull that from the VA website. I use your social or surviving spouse. I use the veteran social and year of birth, so I can pull that certificate and let you know if it comes up eligible. If it doesn't come up, it has us fill in the information, and then they do some research and try to find an approval. But outside of that, it usually pops right up. Now, who qualifies? Active duty service members, of course, veterans, National Guard, reserves, and surviving spouses. I will say the non allowable fee that a veteran is not allowed to pay for is the termite inspection, and it's required on every VA purchase. So the seller pays for it. So that's something you'll know you'll never have to pay for. The rest of these are pretty standard. Some companies charge for them, some don't. We don't charge for the credit report. The insurance, of course, you have to get, flood zone determination, recording fees to get it recorded with the county, VA funding fee. So these are standard for the most part. I don't see anything on here that stands out as crazy. Okay, and then fact or fiction. You can only use your VA entitlement once. No, we've talked about that. That's not true. VA loans take too long. No, they take as long as a normal loan. And if you get pre-underwritten, like I discussed earlier, your loan can actually close within 2 to 3 weeks because we've already done the underwrite up front. You can get a VA loan when deployed. Oh, you can't. Yes, you can. I've had spouses that have purchased while their active members are serving, and so they can use the VA loan to purchase a home.